Hello guys, and welcome to the next episode of making Skyrim Clothing in Marvel's Designer, texturing it and doing everything else related to it. So in the previous episode I forgot what we made, but I think we sorted everything out so high polys so that they're ready for baking and texturing. So in this episode what we'll make is we'll combine all of the OBJs as one, so we can import it into Substance Painter and then we will bake it and texture it. But there's also one more thing that I wanted to show you, and it's about the necklace from the last time. Last time what I did is I made a curve and circle, right, and then I bent it, I added the extrude thing and it was okay. But what you can also do is you can have actual 3D emulate or something, but it's really not that difficult, it's pretty simple. So I'll just show you quickly how can you do it, just so you don't say that I didn't show you. So what you do, for example, is you go into mesh and you go plane. And what you can do is you can scale it down like this, and you can do Control R maybe, like this. This is when you do Control R, you get to do these, you see? So you right click and they're always in the middle. Now we remove this one and this one. Oh, actually, no, we don't remove. Let's do it like this first. So now we remove. Just so you have the rough shape of chain or something. And then you click X and you delete faces. And now you can extrude it to your liking. You can make it a bit bigger. It's up to you. You see? It doesn't matter really. It's, as I said, it's completely up to you. Just make sure it's not way too many polygons. And there's one trick you can do to save poly counts. You do K and you do this, and then you do K and you do this, and on all sides. So this is what we do. And now since you did it, you can remove these. You know, if you don't like them, I don't know, it saves space also. So you can have a how do you call it? For example, if you don't want the edge, you can just do a knife thing like this, and you remove all of these, and you get like a square, but with a lot less polygons. That's like a tip, but we can keep it also like this. But in case we want to do it like this, we won't need this. But it's just so that you know that you can save space like that. And I'm not really happy with this. Maybe we should actually make it a bit more higher poly. Let's see what happens if we use subdivision surface. It's probably going to be way too much, just like I expected. Let me see something. Okay, let's apply it. Let's see what we get. See, we get this. This is something we don't want. So I'm just selecting all of this, clicking X. These all wedges. So I don't know, we can maybe work with this. But also, I don't like this. It's too... you might say this is not too high poly, but I see 30 or 50 of these aligned one next to another in a necklace. So it's so it goes up really high. Never mind. Let's do it like this, and I'll show you what you can do. And now, when you're extruding, it's like doing this. You need to pay attention to the normals. This is very important. So what you do is you go up here and you do face orientation. You know this already. And when you do E, you pull it up. It's going to be good. If you pull it down, it's going to be inside out. So you can do it like this. And if you really want, you can do this. And you know, I leave this to your design choice. So next, what we do is we do Control D. Actually, no, we have to unwrap this one first. Let's unwrap it. So how do we unwrap this one? You go into edit mode and you select edges. So we want to select the outer edge, obviously. And you can also select this edge if you want. This. This is like the simplest possible way you can do it. And you just leave, you know, these one cuts at the side so that we get rectangles. So in here, we switch to UV editor, U, unwrap. And you get something like this. This is okay. And now since we have it, we can also do Shift D, rotate X by 90, and then you do G, X, and with like this. And they both have the same UVs, you see? Look at the right side, same UVs. But why I wanted to show you this is because of this. You can say that this is, you can add array modifier, and what array modifier does is it makes it fit one another, you see? But you have to be very careful. Now, when I did it, I didn't think of this very well. So they should be a bit longer, so there's more space in between, so they can fit better. But oh well. It is what it is, right? I'm just experimenting. I don't know, maybe like this. And then I do, oops, you go into verts. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make space for this one to fit, but I don't think it will. Never mind. Maybe if we do it a bit in a weird way, I don't know. Maybe like this. It looks a bit weird, but it's okay still. So look, when you go back into the object mode, there's this thing called X factor, and you move it in, so you get something like this. I don't know, maybe they're a bit too close. We have to do it for this too. And then, because we're doing it for that one, we have to do it for this one too. I don't know, you can get something like this. Scale this up and down. You can be a lot better than, you'll probably be a lot better than I am in this, but I'm just here to show you. So we do it like this. This is something I can live with. And now in array, if you just do this, you see they line up perfectly. But, and that is what we want. But that's not all. We want this chain to align all the way around this curve. Because you can imagine this curve as a necklace, right? So look at this. You're going to add modifier and you do curve. And then, since this what we made is not a you see, look, when you make stuff, you can make mesh circle. And this circle up here, it's not same as this circle, because this circle is not a mesh, it's a curve. Just so you know. And you cannot do this because it's not gonna work. You know what we did before. When you go into object curve, convert to curve, this rarely works for me. I wouldn't recommend you to do it that way. Just go into Shift A, curve, and add circle or something like that. And now let's go back to this. So in modifier, you have curve now, and you need to select, okay, I want this object, which is chain. We want it to go around this curve. So this is what tells us what is the curve object. So curve object is this Bezier curve, and you can see it slowly goes around it. But look at this. This is a funny part. If you click tab, you go into edit mode, it just goes back here. And it's because it lets you edit the very core. You see, you can scale it down and it looks smaller here. It's just an example. And now in array, you just bump this up to what you like. I don't know, maybe like this, although this is a bit too heavy, you know, but you see. And if you get something like this, you can make it one less, and then you just manually fit one or something in the back. I'll show you how you do that. But let's say, what happens if we bend the curve after it? So you need to select the curve, you see it? You see that it will follow the shape of a curve. So what I want you to do now is I want you to import the body we used for, actually we first need to import if we just import the body, it's going to be scaled wrong. So we need to import the clothes with the body that we already made. Look, going to 3D, Skyrim, for me it's tutorial. Let's say shirt and shemak, they give me rough estimate of how big the character is. And if I go into file, import obj, and I go into the base, this is where my bodies are. You see, if I would just import it, necklace would be here instead of all the way up here. So I'll just scale it here. And this, you see, you can move it up now, no problem. If we move it up, we rotate it, we move it here. Okay, now I can just remove this, it doesn't matter. You can see, you can move it any way you want. It's really up to you. But what I want to do is I want to select the curve and I want to put it in place. See, it will rotate all the time, but you just have to scale it up and down. You see, you can even scale it on x-axis until you get something that you like. But you gotta be careful. You got to be careful with this because you can mess it up as well. Now let's look at this. So I'm just pushing it up and down. I don't know. What I can do is, if you don't like doing it this way, you can just apply everything. And now what you can do is you can go into, you just go here, click proportional editing, and you just drag it like this until you get something that you like. But when you do it this way, not all chain, shall we call these chain links? Not all chain links will be same, you know, but this is just how you can do it, right? So you'll be probably a lot more attentive to it than I am. I know a lot of you are perfectionists too. But look at this now. So we want to remove everything except of the necklace, right? And we want to export this necklace here. Now look at this. When you have something like this that is not, how do you call it, way too UV intensive, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of chain links, yes. It has a lot of polygons because you see each of these is very, it's not as low poly as it can be. It can be even lower poly, but you know, it's what I'm okay with. Each one of these links uses the same UV, you see? So in here, you can make 1K texture and it's still going to look amazing because you'll let reflections do all the work for you. If you don't want it, if you want 2K, 4K, that's also okay. It's up to you. And in that case, what you can do is you can make high poly of it. So how do you do this? Okay, I'll show you. We can do it even here. It's not that big high poly. You go into subdivision surface and maybe not this one. Now we need to push it in ZBrush. Let's do it in Z. But when it comes to it, what is enough is, you know, if you would just put it like this. Oh, this is a good example for me to show you how does baking work here. Because I see a lot of problems with this, and it's the solution is pretty simple. You'll see. So what most of people do is they export this. When they make something like this, they export it as it is in ZBrush, and you'll see what do they get. Maybe I even show you the baking issues you have, and this will teach you a lot. I'll import I'll go into file, new on Substance Painter. I'll go really low poly. I'll go like, no, not poly, but texture. I'll go 2K, it doesn't matter. Just to show you this so you see the error a bit better. I wouldn't recommend you to do this. I would tell you just to watch, because this is something you learn and it will be with you forever once you see it the first time. So ZBrush is giving me issues, but in any way, maybe it's open in the second monitor and I don't see it. I forgot to turn on my second monitor, and yes, it was there. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll just import my necklace in ZBrush, and I will purposely make the error that a lot of people do and that I see that they do. So look, this is the low poly that we have. You go into polygroups, you auto group it, you go into geometry, you add crease polygroups, just so you know they don't how do you call it? So they don't bend as much, you know. Okay, let's say we're happy with this. Maybe this is too big, like this. I don't know. Let's say we're happy with this. It's test anyway, so you know. And I call it high necklace. And now I go into Substance Painter and I go into texture set settings. Let me see if it's exported. It is. I go into texture set settings. I go here, bake mesh map, and look at this now. What happens when I bake it? High necklace OBJ. Look at this. So I know you can move this up and down, but it will still do the same thing for you. Take a look. Do you see these things here? These errors and stuff. You see this? This, you can have whatever paint. I'll put random paint over it. I'll put some fabric, random fabric stuff. Look at this. I don't know. I'll put fabric on train, but I just want you to see. You see, no matter what fabric you have, you see that that error still remains. You see, even here, everywhere. So that's why you don't do it this way. So if you might say, how do people see it? You see, people will see this error on every single one of them. They will see errors here. Look, they'll see this. You might say, well, nobody will notice it. If you're okay with that, that's up to you. You can do what you like, but I'll show you a better way, and then you decide. I clicked on body slide by accident. But look at this. So I selected everything, and I'll hold Shift L to deselect one of them. Maybe I need to... No, they all use the same UV. So look, I still have the same UV, but I will not have any bendings, any errors whatsoever. Look at this. File, export, OBJ. I'll call this text necklace. I always call it text when this is like exploding method still. So I showed you this already on different thing. But in here, it's a bit more prevalent because you only have chain links that are multiplied. Look. So look at it now. So now we only have this. And if you go, you don't even need to go and do polygroup thing. You just go BZM and you click Shift F here so you see better. You go to the edge and you hold space and then you select crease. You know, we did this already. Edge loop. You click this crease, and it goes all the way around. This crease goes around. If you want it to remain really sharp, what you can do is you go space, and instead of crease, edge loops complete, you just go into edge. And then you do this and this. If you want it to be this way, you have obviously your own things that you like, and you can do it as you wish. Also, inside needs to be very... And also I forgot to make it here. You see, I forgot to edge loop complete here. Nope, here. There we go. And now if I do Shift D, Shift D, Shift D, Shift D, it's still higher polygon. You see, I forgot to make a crease here and look at the difference. Now you might say, well, this looks even better. Yes, it does. But you know what the problem comes with it. There's big problems that go with it. And maybe I shouldn't even do it that way. There's another way you can do it. You just go geometry, instead of smoothing, you just click divide, divide, divide. But then you have the edge here, you see, and that's not what I like. So maybe we divide it a couple of times without smooth, like once or twice, and then you go to smooth, and you divide, divide, divide. And you go into deformation, and then you just try with these maybe, I don't know, just a tiny bit. Yeah, I'm happy with this. So it gives me kind of like a smoothed edge, so it's not very sharp. I'm okay with it. And we export it instead of maybe one more subdivision. And you export it instead of high necklace from before. Now look at this. And since this also, one more thing, you might say, well, you're not doing what you taught us. Yeah, I taught you that if you have something like this, you can put it into another texture set that has a lot of space. I told you that. But, and I should do that, but I didn't think that far. Let me show you something. So now, when we go back in here, we're not going to texture this. We're going to texture just one of these if we import it again. And then you bake and everything's going to be all right. Okay, I'll just do it just to show you. And where is it? Necklace. Okay. It's not this one, it's exploded necklace. Text necklace. There you go. Okay. Let's see what happens if we bake now. We still do bake. We do everything the same way as we did a moment ago. High necklace. Click bake. Now look at this. There's not going to be any baking issues. Maybe some, but if they are, you just fix them by doing this. But now you see, there's no really any issues with the bake. And if you do a lot of them, so now, you know, if you make this texture and you export it, and then you go later on in Outfit Studio and you load this texture on the big necklace, all of them will look exactly like this one. So if you make number one here, they will all have number 1 here. You get what I mean? Because there's only one UV tied to all of them. Each of them has the same UV, but it's overlapped one on top of the other. I hope that makes sense. But let me show you next thing. Maybe we can put it together with something, but I'll see. For now, let's import everything that we made. So every low poly model that we made into here. So you go into tutorial. We have obviously text necklace, right? We have our necklace, file, import, obj. We have our, what do we have? Text hoodie belt. Our necklace is still here. So we're importing exploded models, not the real thing. Import, obj, low pants. Pants are on their own. And we have shemag and shirt. So we find shemag and shirt. It's low shirty shem. Here it is. We import it here. Now this is the model we will use for texturing. So when I do texturing, I like to have it all in the same object, so that when I import it in here, I can do changes separately here. Now look, pay attention to this. Because of the way we set up materials, let's see how many should we have in total. We have 1 material, see, belts. I'll just hide this so I see. Second one, you see, they are split, but they're still the same one. Third one, pants. Fourth one, did I make a... Wait a sec. I think I didn't make the material for it. And I think I have a duplicate here. Yep, I have a duplicate here. Not here. Okay, now it's good. But we want to select this, and you see I didn't add material to it. So I just add material to the thing we made. So this is 5, right? So I should have 5 of them on this side. Now let's export this file, export as obj, and we call it texturing full. Okay, we go back into Substance Painter, you go into File, New, you select 4K this time, and you select the texturing full obj we made. This color doesn't need this. So you'll have something like this. And since we have 5 materials, you have them on the side. You have belt, material 1, which is our necklace, pants. This is not good. This is not good. You see, we have an error here. These are supposed to be on the same one, but they're not. So what we will do is we will combine them here. We have to combine shirt and shemag. Yes, you see, and we remove this YZX. So we only have this one. And we select everything, we assign it. And now instead of having 2, I'll show you. Instead of having these 2 here, we'll only have 1, and it's going to have them both. So we export it under the same name. Texturing full, file new, 4K, select. So we find the texturing full again. See, now it's going to be 4. Belt, material, pants. What is this? And this is the last one. So everything looks the way it's supposed to now. So if you go into belts and you go into bake mesh, we have to find output size. You can put it 4K. And what you have to find is you have to find the high poly model of the belts that we made. So it was hoodie belts. I think it's this one. Yeah. So you load it in. And now comes the interesting part. It will, depending on how much polygons you have, that's what the loading in time will depend on the most. So if you have 10 million polygons, man, you'll have to wait here for quite some time. For me, it was like 2 or 3, I think. So maybe even more, and it's loaded here. And now pay attention to this. And look at this. So we see that this blue part, you see it, and this, like, I moved it all the way down, so you see. So you see that high poly goes on hood, it goes exactly on belt and nothing else. And that's what we want. And we see that, look at, do you see this cage? Do you see this cage, the yellow one? You see, when it touches the second one, like it does here, look, it doesn't touch it now, but now it does. It will cause those baking artifacts. But sometimes they are unavoidable. I mean, they are always avoidable, but you know, you cannot spend so many hours on this when people won't even see it. So when it comes to parts like this, like the inside part of belt, no player can ever see this part down here. They cannot see it, and it's okay to have artifacts there. But if the artifact is somewhere here on the outside where player can see it, it's not good. And artifacts, I'm telling you about things that I showed you on the necklace earlier. Those are artifacts. So I always try to keep this the same distance. And what this tells you, I'm not explaining to you what this does. So this tells you, you have your low poly model in here, obviously. It's the model we imported, it's called texturing. And when you import high poly model we made, which is high, the one that has like little holes all around, it tells you how far will it search for it. So if it searches too little, it will only bake parts of it. If it searches too far, it will overbake. So you have to find the perfect balance of this. And this little yellow cage tells you if you're good. You don't select bake selected textures because it will bake belt hood on every single material out of 4 instead of just this one. So we do down here and you go bake belts. For you it will be different name, but probably. But you don't want to select bake on all of them, you just want to bake on the one below it when you click on the little arrow. And now let's see what do we get. I'll also use this moment to explain something else to you. I will show you what really is the difference when you bake high poly and when you don't. This will, you'll see, when people make their own models, I am much happier with seeing people learn how to do it and get better in it than, buying DES models or stuff and then just re-uploading them under their name. That is stupid. But when people make their own stuff, it takes a lot longer to learn things. And when you see this next thing, which I'll show you after this baking is done, you'll be like, okay, I saw this in a lot of mods and I didn't pay attention to it. And this was wrong. But so that means that this author didn't know of this. But if you follow this tutorial and you spend a lot of time, you will be the mod author that will know this. And your stuff will be of much higher quality. So now you see when I baked it, these things switched. So we get these little holes here and this is actually flat. We didn't have any geometry change. So how can I show you this? Let me see if I can switch into wireframe mode somehow, just so you see. I don't know. Maybe if I just go with kite. You see, even with this, you see no geometry change. It's still exactly the same. But normal map adds this hole. And it gives you the illusion of having depth when there's no depth. So you see, what we could have done is we could have gone into our belt and we could have made these holes as real holes. But that would add a lot more polygons to something that it's... Now, when you look from here, if I just showed you like this and you don't do modeling, you'd say, there's a holes there. He won't question if it's actual geometry or if it's illusion because it doesn't matter. Just so you know. But now I want to show you the thing I told you about and I show it on the shirt. Now look at this. This is the error that a lot of new mod makers make. So let's say I'll add completely random fabric to this. And you might say, wow, this looks good. No, it looks like shit. And it's because it doesn't have it baked. Look, if you have no high poly model baked on this, look what happens. You get something like this. And I know some of you will be happy with this and I'm not, because when you put it in game, it's going to look horrible. But the most important part that gives you difference in sizes and why we bake is, look at this. Added random layer and I'll add black mask to it. And now I will add generator to it. And it's gonna be metal edge generator. Look, in here it doesn't recognize edges. You see, it does this, but it doesn't do it depending on this UV island. It just does it over this entire square. And now let's see what happens. I'm not going to change anything here, but let's bake and let's see what happens then. So I'm just going to bake. You have to remove this because it's a different model. Remove it, go here, and it was high chamois shirt. This is the one we need. So we're baking each material. You see, these are the texture sets I told you about. We're baking each one of them separately. It's very important. And you see, we get this. and you get this, you have to move this up a bit because it's going to give you artifacts. Now, artifacts on Shemak are inevitable because of the way it's placed. Now you see what I mean when I told you the inside parts are troubling. This is why. But to us, it won't really matter, I think. So I just clicked bake YZX because I gave it that name. I don't know why. It's completely random. But you don't want to bake over everything. Remember that. If you get, how will you know if you baked over everything? Every model piece will be very dark, like black or dark gray. And that's how you know you made a mistake. So you might think like, okay, but how do I fix it? Can I just remove it? And yes, you can. And I'll show you how. But let's finish the bake first. This sign down here, it tells you how far the bake is done. I'm just sipping my morning coffee and modeling right in like 7 in the morning. Let's see. It's nearly done. Oh, also I didn't tell you. Substance Painter, you can get it on Steam, and it's I think it's like €100, but you get permanent version. It's really, really good software. You can use it for anything. And you know, when you invest in software, you might think, oh, that's too much. Yeah, you invest like €100, but how much do you earn back? You know, you earn a lot more. But look at this. What do you guys say? Do you see this thing here? Was it here before? Let me show you how it was before. Do you see here on the side? You see this on the side? And if I just click X, I'm just going to click X on all of these things, and you look at the left side. Okay, 3, 2, 1, look. That was already enough. Do you see how much detail we lose if we don't bake? Look, again. It's insane amount of detail. And also, now you remember that metal edge that I made. Look at this. Oh, let's see if it's going to listen to me. Maybe I need to make a new one. It's probably bugged. I'm doing the exact same thing. Just adding black mask at generator metal edge where you see it recognizes the top of this. Do you see it? It recognized it even recognizes the edges and everything. You see? And you can use this to, I don't know, let me put contrast down a bit. Do you know when you make shirt and it has those washed out parts? You can use it for this, for example. So you just lower down this thing down a bit, and instead of using white color, you use, I don't know, use the color of this. Like you can have the color picker and you just make it a bit brighter, and then you get this washed out look. You can get dirty look and whatever. I didn't mean it in a bad way, but look, you can also add generator. You can add actual dirt, and it does this. But you want to avoid these things. This is very annoying to people, and it looks bad in game. So if you're gonna make dirt thing, just be careful with it. Edge masking, I don't know, you can put it to 0 or something. You can get something like this still. You know, it's completely up to you. But also, I think you guys remember. Oh yeah, I forgot which color is the reference. One moment, I'll turn on the reference. I'll skip this part. Okay, guys. So what I did is I did find the reference up here, and I wanted to show you one more thing, but because I'm uploading video, my internet is a bit slower, so we'll have to wait for that. But I want to show you this. So what we said is this part is some kind of cotton, which we can use this. You probably don't have this fabric cotton jersey, and you have something else. You have fabric rough and these default ones if you use it. But what you can do is you can always go into the site. It's called Substance 3D Community Assets. And in there you can find, you see all of these for free. So you just go into fabric leather, and you download one of these. You said it's not loading for me because of uploading, I told you already, but you can find, I don't know, any of these that you like, jeans even, whatever, and you just go into the, like, I don't know, you have your downloads. For example, it's here. You download it here, and you just drag it over here, and that's all you have to do. Pretty simple. And it lets you use the texture. If you don't want it like that, you can always make your own in Substance Designer, it's like, it's not Substance Painter, but Designer. It lets you do nodes and stuff. So you can change these, things. You can all do all of this, but that program is also like, I think $150. But it takes a lot more time to make it, and it's not worth it in this case. So let's go and let's select similar color to what we have here. Now let me teach you something here. How can you say what fabric this is? I don't think it's really cotton. I think it's something like latex. And why do I think that? It's AI, so it confuses it. But when you see these blunt highlights, you see, it gives you a lettery latex vibe. I told you this. But what you can do is you can have that still, even though you have cotton here. So how do you do it? You see this fabric roughness thing? This is it. It's going to be your specular map. So you see, you get something like this. But you don't want to go like this. You don't ever go like this. So you go like from a bit above 50, like 60 is perfect for this type of thing. I don't know, 60. I think this is amazing. Look at how good this looks, guys. It's insane. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. So when it comes to our scarf, you remember when we did, I'll open this in Photoshop. Do you remember when we did this? It was on my screen. It was called, what was it called? YPNG. It's this what we used. No, it's not this. Forgot the name. Necklace PNG. No. I forgot. Basically what allowed us to do mask, it was called mask. I remembered. Mask. Here. Mask. This. And we baked it and we got, we baked it in ZBrush here under surface, if you remember, but only on the Shemak part. But what if you do it this way? You go back into it, if you still have it, I'll just show you this so you know. And you flip it back the way it was. So you go into edit, transform. You remember we did vertical flip. And now it's, if we flip it again, we get into default position we had in the very beginning. So you export it as PNG again and under mask. And we import it here. So this is one way of you importing things. Mask. You just drag it over and it is undefined erase texture, and I'll just import it into current session. If you want to import it into library, it means that every project you do, it will always have it there. So that is good for if you do textures from the site I showed you. Look from this site. You see, you have a lot of things now. They load it. You just download it and put it just like I did this. And when you, I need to find a place to put this here. And when you import it, it's often selected. So take a look at this. So I'll just add a new layer and I will drag this mask as base color. And you see, it will color only the part that is here. And what I can do is I can also drag it as height and now it pops up. You see? But what's the problem with it? It also does everything else. So there's one thing you can do if you want this, and that is you add black mask. And in here, there's a tool. It looks like this. And you select this latest thing. And you just drag it over this, for example. See, on the side. And it will only paint it over it. But if you don't want that, that's also good. But I'm telling you this because, for example, if you make engraving on a sword, you can use this and you select the color to be not this. You want color to be like really black. And then in game you say that, in Skyrim you say that black is gold. Right, black color equals gold. It's often like that. Whatever is black is the most reflective in Skyrim. In Fallout it's the other way around. But in Skyrim, and you say, okay, I want the black color to reflect gold. And it literally reflects gold and this looks golden. That's just to show you that. But you have to flip it again if you want to use it. Now, what was I doing? Oh yeah, you can also add little stitches if you want. You can do it automatically or you can do it by hand. I always do stitches by hand and I'll show you how. So I'll show you automatically first. So since they are stitches, we want to add a black mask. I want them to be, I don't know, I'll make them gray probably, but I'll show you this. If you still have these wireframes, you just click up here. And Oh yeah, I still didn't tell you how to use this. Okay, look. Let me show you this before we go into stitches. I'll select some weird color like red, and I use black mask. And let's say I don't want to make, so I can put all of these in one folder and then continue from the next folder. But instead of doing that, I can just use this tool and say, okay, wherever no, not this is projection tool, this one. And I drag it over just the shirt, and only shirt will have everything here. So I can do whatever I want here. I can make whatever changes I want, or you can even do it like this. This is even smarter. I'll just remove this. You make a new folder and you drag this into it, and you add black mask, and you drag this thing over the part where you want to. So over this part, I think it will break for me. Now you need to add paint. Right click on mask and add paint, and then do it. And it's still not listening to me. I think my thing is going to crash. I think it's going to crash. No, it won't. Okay, so you add white mask over this because it doesn't matter. But what is important is, if you pay attention, since we used a different folder and that folder masked this part without us having to do it manually and then miss parts. We dragged it with this so we don't miss anything. And now if you want to do, I don't know, you want to add green color now. Look, green color now, and you want, I don't know, you want that color to be also like metal edge wear and stuff. You see, it's not going to mess up what you have up here. This is just so you know. It's, even though it's on the same texture set, it's completely separate. I hope you understand me, but we don't need it now, but in future, if you do something more complicated, you will definitely need it. Let's get back to our stitches. So when you do stitches, you want to obviously add black mask, and you want to add paint. And now we want to go over here on the side. We want to untick texture. We want to find stitch. And you have these stitches. I don't know, whatever ones you like. You can make them small, you can make them big, whatever you want. You can make them smaller. You can even do them with a curve. There's so many ways you can approach this, it's insane. You see, you can do like this. You left click and then you shift click and then you drag it around until you make it. That's one way of doing it. What you can do also is you can go into add generator to auto stitch, and it does it automatically for you. But when you're doing this, you need to be careful because it's not going to be always perfect how you want it, and it will drag these stitches over the edges of the UV. So you see edges here and edges here, and that's this part. It will do something like this. That's why I avoid it. When you see stuff like this, someone used auto stitching, and a lot of people use it. I don't like it. I would rather draw it by hand than like that. And let me show you one more thing. You can also use curves or paths, as the Substance Painter calls it. It's this third thing. So how does this work? Look at this. So I click here, and then I click here. Don't worry about this. You can, change the color. It doesn't matter. So you click here, and then you click here, and then you click here, here. These are this is something like, it reminds me of lasso in Photoshop, but it's not the same. Add it here, 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 and here, and you just drag it so they fit kind of. So you can also add more of them here, just so it, aligns better. And you say, okay, it is not that, it is actually a stitch, and it turns into stitch. And then you move it up and down. You can change the spacing of them. You see, it's really up to you. What do you like? I'll leave it. I won't make it perfect, but I'll just make it look decent. You can spend as much time here as you want. You can be as perfectionist as you want. But my job is to show you what you can do and how to do it. For you, it's how much time you'll spend in it. It's your choice. The more time you spend, the better it will look. But I wouldn't recommend you to spend way too much time on these things in your beginner models, because when you just start getting into something, you can try to decorate it as much as you want to, but if the base is bad, and it will always be bad when you just get started on something, then it won't really matter. These things won't really matter if it's perfectly angled. It doesn't matter. But you'll learn with time. Don't worry. So the way you edit it is, you can go up here and you can click paths, and you can always change I don't know, stitch size. You can change everything to your like. You can make it something really small. I don't know, maybe like this. It doesn't matter. And what you can also do is you can go into the basic material here and you put up the height. And now look at the left side. You see how they pop up a bit. Yeah. And you can make it gray instead of white, so it's a bit more. You don't want to ever go with full black. This isn't black, just so you know. Maybe something just tiny bit so it draws eye to it, but it's not that obvious. You know, you can do something like this. It's just an example. So let's say I'm happy with this. I just want to save it first because I'm used to things crashing on me. So I'll call it tutorial SPP. And let's see what do we get. So now we can say that this part is finished and we want to continue with pants. So you can also hide the part that is finished. But let's say that we want to use the same material we used for shirt on pants. And you might think, how do you do it? You would probably go here, you would copy these things and you would redo them, but there's a smarter way. Let's say you add folder and you add everything from this YZX or the shirt and schema and you drag it into it. And you call it something you'll remember. Shirt black. For example, shirt black fabric. Black fabric. Because when you look for fabric, you'll always find. And you right click, create smart material. So now you can use this setup for all of your models in the future. Look, pants, I need to bake them first. Let's say bake. I don't want this, I told you. I want to find high pants. Here they are. It will take some time to load. I think they're the highest poly of everything I made. I told you what you have to do. Put this up a bit. Also, look around, hold Alt, look around every side. Do you see any red? I see some red here, maybe a bit more. Any more red? No. And we just bake pants. You don't bake selected textures, just bake pants. And it should be done quickly. Should be pretty fast. Or no. Or it will take some time. As I said, the more poly you have, more you'll have to wait. And more draining it will be towards your GPU and CPU at the time of doing this. So, you know, some of you will probably try with 8K textures, and I would highly discourage you from it. I would even discourage you from using 4K. But it's your choice, right? Because if you use 4K, it's going to be way too big size. And we have like 4 texture sets, and I'm going to use, this one will be 2K, so it's 3 texture sets, all on 4K, 1 on 2K. I think that will be decent for us. But anyways, our pants are done. You see the pants have their own thing like the shirt does. And now, because we were smart and we made a smart material, you can go into here. This is what the smart material icon is. And you type in how we call it. It was called shirt black something. And you see it's here. So I just put it here and it painted everything in exactly the same way as the top was. This is pretty smart, isn't it? But you can also you can go in here now and you can change. You know, it's easy to fit these things like scaling, tiling and stuff, but it's hard to hit the color to be exactly the same. That's the biggest problem always. So let's put it like this. So it's the smaller scaling you use, the more it will look like latex or leather. You see, this is actually cotton, but it looks like it's not. You can also turn off height if you want, but I like to keep my height on. But maybe we can make it a bit less intensive. So height position 0.4. Something like this. I'm just changing the height because I know, you know, what you see here is not going to be it will not look exactly the same in game. The game has its own problems. It's old engine And when it sees height, it will exaggerate it. So I lowered it down a bit. I'll also click save just so I have it all at one spot. And I dislike this a lot. I dislike this part, but now when we're already done, there's no going back. Can we use roughness? Maybe we can make them a bit like this. Yeah, this is good. So I just made them a bit, instead of, it was like this before, and I use like 0.57. Even this is good. You don't want to go like this. You might say, wow, this is exactly what I want. No. I would rarely go over 0.5. In this case, I'll make it like 0.52. Not too much. You don't want to exaggerate things. Beginning you obviously will, but as you get better at it, you will not. What did I forget? Pants are done. This will go 2K. I'll do this last. Belts. We have to do belts. Now, we already baked it. It was the first thing we baked. So let's make some kind of a letter thing for it. Let's see if I have any that is already done. You can download it from here, obviously. You can download it from here. You find letter and you load it in, and then you just change colors to your liking. That's what I did. So, I don't know, I'm looking through them. Maybe you even have these. So I'm just looking something that I like. What was this? I don't like this. I'll make it from this beginning. So I'm going to leather. What is this? Leather grain. Leather skin. Let's try with grain. It's going to be way too tough, but we'll make it smaller. I know you can use this if you want. I hate the color variation. It's not what I like. And I'll use the color picking tool on pure ref to get it roughly to what I like. Ooh, I'm actually happy with this. Except this is a bit too strong still. Make it a bit less small. You see, people will say like, well, there's no texture, but if you really look in, you see that there's plenty of texture. And then people that don't do modeling will be like, wow, look at this detail. And this must be really difficult to do. And you just move the slider. It's because people don't know, but they learn. And look at this. So we have a letter, right? I applied letter. It's just a simple material I did, simple fill layer. But I don't want it to fill the buckle as well. So now what we'll do is we'll add white mask. And we'll do what I told you earlier. So we're just going to select this on number 1. This now, why do I select the latest one? Look at this. If I select just this, it will only do top layer. I need to put this on 0. You see the top layer. But if you do this fourth icon, it will select the entire thing. But you gotta be careful when you select it. It's best to do it like this, so you don't drag anything else with it. Is there anything else that is metallic here? In this texture set, I don't think there is. But okay. And now since we did it like that, what we can do is we can add, I should have done it differently, but it doesn't matter. Now I will add another thing that will be like completely black, but it will be metallic to like 0.8. It will not be as rough, it will be something like this, and I'll add the black mask to it. Then I'll add paint layer, and I will drag so that it is metal. If you don't understand this yet, you just do as I do and don't stress about it. You'll understand it in time. Double suring that everything is the way I want it to be, and it is. But you might say, why did you use black color on this? I told you that black color is metallic. It means metallic in game. If you have white color, it's not going to reflect the material that I want. For example, I can say later on this is steel, and I just use steel environment map, and this turns it into steel. I can say it's gold, and it turns it into gold. But the only thing that is important is that it's black now. So what I can do still on this is I can add new thing, and I can make it black mask, and I can do this, add paint, and add generator, and I'll add it metal edge, so it gives me this like worn out effect. make it a bit less contrasty, maybe make it like this. And now don't worry about the top part, I ignore it completely, you don't need to worry about that. But what you need to worry about is how will this look. So, you know, it's up to your taste, as always. Edges smooth, do you want it to be smooth? I don't know if I want it smooth or not, I didn't decide yet. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You know, you can move down this curvature weight as well, so you get something like this. You see, but what we do is we drag this paint layer over it and we go do this thing again. So we just do white color only over this part. Oh no, it doesn't work. Oh, sorry, we do black over the rest. We do black part over the rest. I'm being stupid. See, so it removes all of those edge wears, leaves it only onto this. But if we leave it white, that means that this black part will be gold and white will be white. It is sometimes good, but I like to keep it a bit darker color. Maybe something like this. And you add metallic to it, but of less value than your actual metal. And you keep it a bit more rough. Like this. This is really good. Control S to save. I'm happy with this so far. Also, I remember we had one part here that used to connect. Oh yeah. This part. It's, if you remember, maybe I have it open. It's this. This is what we used to. This is what we used up here. If you guys remember, up here, and I should have made it lettery, and I can, but I can also make it metal. I still didn't decide. Maybe I make it metal. What do you think? I want to make it metal. But if you don't want it to be metal, you just go and you select this thing again and you draw black over it. I'll keep it as metal, it doesn't matter. If you, oh yeah, one more thing. If you want, you can also add stitches here. And if you leave this part also as letter, you can draw stitches on it too. But you do it vertically. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with the way it is, but I'm still not decisive on this. I'll leave it as metal. That's my final decision. And material, we don't forget the necklace. You see, the necklace is somewhere here. I see it. It's up here. You see where it's hidden. I will make it like you can hide everything else. We don't need it. Just keep the necklace part here. Go into texture set, bake mesh map, and you go into 2K. We don't want it to be 4K, and you find high necklace here, and we lower this down. Okay, like this. Bake material. Now it's up to you what you want to use for it. We baked it, and look, you can go into belts and you can reuse the same metal we used here. So oops, so I told you how to do it. You drag this into here, you call it metal, call it metal, means bullet. Metal, and create smart material, and now you put it here. I call it metal. Now I'll never find it because there's probably a lot of metals already. Letter, no. Metal. And you might wonder why is it not there. It's pretty simple, because this is black and it shouldn't be black. It should be going over this, and this should be going over this, but it's not perfect, as you see. Oof. If you add white mask, it ruins it. Never mind. Whatever. Maybe I can do it like this. Yeah, it's a bit different model size, so I have to redo this. But you have everything put the way it's supposed to be. And I would be really careful when you make these things that repeat themselves, because they will have these things in every same spot, so don't go too crazy. I like this, it's okay. I'm fully happy with everything I made so far, and now we save it. So you see, texturing wasn't that bad. It's really just clicking. But if you want to make your own textures, then this takes a lot longer. It takes a lot longer, my friends. I'm not happy with the hood entirely. Look at how plastic it looks. But okay. We didn't do it in Marvelous. We did it in Z by hand. And without paying too much attention, without complicating it too much. So now what we want to do is I'm just clicking without telling you. Go into File, Export Textures. And now this is what lists textures on the side. In here, it tells you what will be the export thing for you. For me, when I do it in two ways. I'll show you how. I'll keep it Unreal Engine 4 packed for now. You can even do it like this, it doesn't matter, but I'll show you something. So what I often do when I have thing is I go into here, in tutorial, and I make text folder, it's textures. I always have one for rendering. I call it rend, and there's one for game. So in one for rendering, that's where I import under Unreal Engine 4. So you go into default background color, PNG on all of them, and yeah, that is good. Based on texture set size, and you click export. This is for render. You see, it has 4 sets. It has to export it all. It should be all exported now. It's best if you do it one by one, but you know, I'm a lazy guy. And when you want to export it, so why did I do it separately? Because this one, I often do my renderings in Marvel set. It's when you see my mod pages and you see those really high quality renders, they're done with this preset. But that preset doesn't work for game. So what you want to do is you want to make a preset that I use for Fallout and Skyrim. I use the same preset, I just use a bit less files. Take a look at this. Where is it? Fallout. This one. So you copy it. I made this one by myself. So how do you do this? You go click here, plus, you make a new one. And then you click RGB plus A and you get this first line here. And you drag base color here to RGB channels. You drag opacity to gray channel. You see the color below it. You see this little gray line. It tells you what channel it is. You see RGB, this is R, red, green, blue. That means that in here I dragged normal DirectX and I dragged it under RGB. In here, something I dragged it under red but gray. It's a bit confusing. So what is it? What is this, you might wonder? Under red, I imported metallic and it goes into gray channel. And then roughness goes into green. Green under gray channel. This is confusing to you, but don't worry about it. And most importantly, mixed AO on the side, you drag it as gray channel. And you save it however you want. I saved it as Fallout PBR. You can do it whatever you want. And just click Save Settings. So in here, you change this export thing to Fallout PBR. And you, instead of going to rend, you export it into game. And you click Select. And you do this. And now you just click Export. And it exports everything there. It's also 4, but you have this grayscale thing. And now I will not, when it comes to rendering, we don't need to do anything about the rendering part, but we have to do a lot about the DDS files. So what are DDS files? I'll show you now. So we open your Photoshop and you find the textures we exported. Not the rend ones, but the game ones. And now you see which is which, right? So we have this one. This is obviously belt and hood. So this is our diffuse map. Now take a look at this. It lacks any detail, and this is okay for Fallout. For Skyrim, it's not. What's the problem here? The problem here is that it's PNG, and if you put it in Creation Kit, it will not recognize it. It will recognize only if it's DDS. So we need to turn this into DDS. But before we do that, in Skyrim, you bake shadows or ambient occlusion as diffuse map. So this was our diffuse map. I go into place embed. I'll show you. File, place embed. You can use also a GIMP for this. But okay, I import this. And this is my AO map. This is mixed AO with it. I change it to multiply. So it's multiply layer. So you see it comes, I'll unhide it now just so you see the little holes up there. Yeah, it's all from that. But also it comes with baking issues here. You can fix these baking issues if you know what you're doing. you can just, where's my thing? You can erase this. Oops. You can erase this part, you see, no problem. What you like. You can be as crazy as you want with this. You know, do you want model to be perfect? Do you not want it to be perfect? It's completely up to you. You know, if you have more time, you'll obviously focus more on it. If you don't have time, then you won't mind. Because these things are something that players will never see anyways. And if they do, they will be like, man, it's something on my end. Even though it's your problem. But look at this. So I just selected like a really soft brush and I dragged it over it. And now what I want to do is I want to go here. This is a effect layer. I want to add brightness, contrast. Brightness minus 50, contrast plus 50. This is what works for me. File, save as DDS. You see, if you don't have this, you have to go on the internet and you have to find Intel DDS plugin. I have a video on it on YouTube already. How do you do all of that? So you follow it. But this one was belt hood belt D underscore D, and it is diffuse map. Okay, so when I do underscore D, it means diffuse map, and I want to save it. It must be color alpha, BC7, linear, DirectX 11 plus. Okay. Now go file, open. Now we have to find a normal map of it, and it's this one. It's the very first one. You see, it fits perfectly. It's this one. So what's up with normal map? Normal map, this what you can do here is you can lower down the opacity. You can put it like, I don't know, 5%. And what this does is it tells you how reflective it will be in game. So the opacity, the amount of opacity you have, it tells you how reflective it will be in game. If you go 100%, it will be insane. If you go something like, I don't know, 10%, it's going to be okay. But if you do it like I do, and you just use black specular map, this doesn't matter at all. But now, this is where people make mistake when they save it as, and they just save it as normal map. You'll see this, people do this a lot. So I'll just click on this so I get the name and N. Now this is what I mean. Since it has alpha, you need to export it as color plus alpha. If you export it as normal map doesn't have opacity. This preset, it doesn't have opacity, so it's not the way you do it. But you go in a color plus alpha, you go PC7, fine, linear, DirectX 11, you click OK. That's our normal map. And now, if you have metallic parts on this, and we do, since it's a belt, you remember we have a buckle, we also have this. And what is this? This is our specular map. And look, if you click into, where are the color channels? I need to find them. Swatches, no, channels here. And you click on red. Everything that is white here will be metallic in game. So we need to pull out this red color and use it as our specular map or our environmental map. And how do we do it? You go into image mode, grayscale. Okay, so it removes all the channels and it only remains this channel. File, save as DDS, and we'll call it hood belt underscore M. M, not N, but M. And you just export it same as everything else. Good practice is to close these things that you already did, because it will cause issues for you later on when you redo the same thing like 2 times and you go crazy over it. Let's do the necklace. Save as. No, I need to import. I need to import the grayscale first, and I need to switch to layers. Grayscale is multiply. We told you that already, but we don't need to bother ourselves with contrast here. It doesn't matter, but we can do it still just because it doesn't matter. Minus 50 brightness, plus 50 contrast. File, save as. Oh, we need to check what is the texture size of it. So we go image size. You see it's 4K, it's too big. It's too big. So you go 248. It will switch it to 2K. We don't need this to be 4K. It's not, you can even make it like 1K. It's gonna look great still. Necklace D. Color plus alpha. There you go. File open. We want to open the normal map of it. If you want to, you can leave it as it is. If you don't want to, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. File, save as DDS. You save it as necklace N. Of course, color plus alpha. Everything under same preset. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. File open. This one, and you go into channels, red, image, mode, grayscale. Okay. File, save as. This is our emp mask file. Basically, you need, whenever you intend to use metallic, you must have emp file for mask, which tells you, okay, this is metallic. Without it, it's not gonna work. Let's continue on. So what are we stuck on? Now we go with pens. I'll close everything else. Now you see pens, this looks flat. And in modern games, it is supposed to look flat, but in older games, you have to have this shadows on it. So we go grayscale, multiply. You can fix the issues if you want. If you don't want, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it, but you must rasterize it first. No, you want to go a bit smaller. You see, just a small fix. Here too. It's your taste. Don't go crazy with this. You don't want to lose the things you worked hard on. Of course, brightness contrast thing, minus 50. You can obviously, yeah, I know that people, there's other tutorials for this too. You can find them somewhere on the internet. I didn't find them, so this is my way of doing things. So there's obviously going to be people that will say you're doing it wrong, and I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. If I am, this works for me, and this is what I'm sticking with no matter what. Now, one more thing that I wanted to show you is, since this is a letter or latex, whatever, you can use just specular map to get this white reflections, you see them, or you can use actual environmental map for this. And I like using environmental map for it, and I'll show you how to do it. But first, let's continue exporting all of our textures. So file, save as. I'm not going to bother myself with changing opacity of it. I didn't forget, don't worry. I didn't put this to 10% because I'm lazy, but you can if you want to. I'll use black specular map on everything anyways. Okay, I'll just put it down just so you guys, I cannot be lazy. Save, I just saved it under same name. But it doesn't make that big of a difference in my case. To you it might. Let's go here. So you might say, why do you do this metallic thing when you said you're not going to use metals? I will not use metals, but what I will do is I will use environmental map to get a nice effect on the pens. And since red is metallic and there's nothing in red, I'll use green. Green is roughness. So I'll go image, mode, grayscale. It doesn't matter to me. File, save as. It will still work. Pens underscore M. Yes. And next up, let's see what else do we have left. We have, what is this? Shirt. So shirt is the last one. It's here. Load it. File. Place. We're just redoing the same thing over and over again. Oh, look at how horrible this is. But this is Shemag. I told you it's inevitable with Shemag or Scarus. And you go into multiply and you click here. Now I'm just kind of like softening this up if I can. Oh, just a tiny bit. Maybe like this. Maybe like this. It's okay. Now it makes it worse. But in here, don't know if I should even touch this. Maybe I should. Shemag is really a disaster, as you see. But whenever you make something that folds, you get something like this. So it's inevitable, guys. It's really inevitable. But let's see what we can do. Okay, we have to do it, sadly. I'll remove it from this part. This part is very broken. But even if we remove it from here, if we remove the diffuse, we still have normal map that is broken, and we cannot fix that, really. Normal map is a problem. This is not that big of a deal. This is just blackness that we remove. But we will still have artifacts that we cannot solve. And I'm happy with this. Even though in here it looks like disaster, it doesn't matter. Whatever is in here, you see, you can draw whatever, you can write here whatever. It will not change anything here. So don't worry about it. Yeah, I forgot. Filter, brightness -50. And contrast 50. So we get this nice color. File, save as... what was this? Shirt shem. D. Diffuse map. Okay. File, open. Normal map. 10%. File, save. DDS. It's very repetitive process, but you know. And also what we could have done is we could have combined, you know, if we were making a real game, not Skyrim. People in Skyrim, I do things the wrong way. You see, I have 4 texture sets for this thing. If you were making a real game, you would have 1. You would optimize it, and people wouldn't even notice because the engine is, you know, engines are better. It looks 10 times better, whatever you do. But in here, you know, it's an older engine, and people think that, you know, having really high poly count is good. People think that having 8K textures is amazing, and it's because people don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. Let's go here. Let's save this as shirt M. This is our thing, and I think we are done with everything related to texturing now. Next step will be importing it in game, and I think it's best if I save it as a separate video. So in the next video, it will probably be the last. It will be, I think, the longest if this one isn't already. And in it, what we'll do is we will sort everything out. I'll tell you how do you import it in game, how do you make body sides, how do you make values to it, how do you upload it on the internet, and so on. It's pretty simple. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.